Alright, so we're back. This is part 3 of my Best of Batman graphic novel review. My name is Andrew Ace. You can find me online at UYS999. And that UYS is actually how you pronounce the Ace in my last name. I'm from South Africa. It's a long story, but I think that pretty much sums it up. So, I'm reviewing my best graphic novel reviews this week, and for the third section, I have 2 books by Grant Morrison. Now, this is all part of one larger run, pre-52, that really, in my own mind, brought Damian to the fore, and that really is then to start with Batman and Son by Grant Morrison, Andy Kubert. This is where Damian was first introduced. So, if you're a Damian fan, this is the book you want to be looking for. At the time, I remember this huge hubbub about not liking Damian, about Batman having a son, and yada yada yada. And then, of course, you know, they just killed him a little while ago, in the New 52, and there's this whole, oh, we miss Damian. I gotta love it. You know, anytime you make any change in a comic book, you're gonna anger some people and make other people happy, and you never know who will be in which group, and which group will really sort of win out in fandom. Andy Kubert, phenomenal artist. Let's see if I can't find some pages. This graphic novel features, like I said, the introduction of Damian, and then that is to say, Ra's al Ghul's daughter. It also, though, has, and I love them, ninja man-bats. Yes, giant ninja man-bats. That's what I've always been waiting for. It also, though, has Bane makes an appearance. You've got Joker in the story, but just one more of the giant ninja man-bats. That's right, giant ninjas, or, you know, man-bats. Just put those all together and you get something awesome. So, this is definitely a storyline for anyone who wants to, well, go through the backstory of Damian. Also, though, this was the start of Grant Morrison's absolutely incredible, lengthy run on the Batman family titles that sees it go through to, here we go, Batman and Robin. And this is after Bruce Wayne has died, so after Final Crisis, and Dick Grayson puts on the cowl, the mask, Damian is his Robin, and they set off. With Frank Quitely on art, again, this is just a stunning visual storyline. Frank Quitely, who's worked on All-Star Superman, he has a very distinct, unique style. He's also worked on X-Men, or Uncanny X-Men, with Grant Morrison. You tend to find them working together as a pair, though his latest work is with Mark Millar, and it's Jupiter Ascending? Jupiter's Legacy. There we go. Suddenly thinking of the movie. Apology. Jupiter's Legacy is the series they've been putting out, and it's a great read. But back to Batman, and one of the reasons why I like this storyline so much is you really get to see Dick Grayson coming into his own. I like the fact that he was Batman, and I wasn't so thrilled with the whole New 52 and doing that. I get that you didn't necessarily want 2 Batman running around, which is what happened after Bruce Wayne came back. But frankly, this was a new take on the character where Batman got to be lighter, a little more humorous, and we've always known Dick Grayson to be intelligent, a great detective, acrobatic, you know, martial artist. So there's no falling down on that end. But then in turn, it allowed to make Robin, the Damian Robin, be darker, more violent. It kind of flipped the roles a bit, and that really worked. You know, you got Batman trying to kind of save Damian, save Robin, as opposed to the reverse, which was, you know, Batman needs Robin to keep him from being too dark. Alright. You know, more maybe Batman needs Robin so the bad guys can shoot at the brightly colored yellow cape, and that's why you've had 5 Robins. But I would definitely recommend checking out this storyline. Great read. The volumes went on for a little bit longer. 3, I think, volumes 1, 2, and 3, covering up to the return of Batman, and then you have another 1 or 2 before you hit the New 52. I have some of them on my shelf behind me, but I'm not going to check right now. We're running a little short on time. So, another sort of double pair is, well, Frank Millar's contributions to Batman. And Frank Millar, whatever you might think of him for the spirits, and maybe some of his comments of late, is a comic book industry legend. The man transformed Batman in the 80s with The Dark Knight Returns and Batman Year One. And both of these were massively influential books setting the tone for, in this case, a more realistic Batman, and in both cases, a darker, more gritty Batman, and again, in this case, for an older Batman. These storylines have been inspiration for a number of works. The art is a little bit different. For me, I wasn't quite so much a fan of the artwork here. It's darker. There's an animated movie that's come out, and I think, you know, if you like the animated movie, chances are you'll enjoy the graphic novel. The graphic novel these days has maybe a little less canon significance, as I'm not even sure what they're doing with continuity. But if you want a small, self-contained, you know, first early days of Batman, it's a great read. And it's Frank Miller. It's incredibly well written, you know, dynamically illustrated, even if subjectively I'm not always a fan of the style of the art. It's still very well done. And I couldn't really decide between Batman Year One and The Dark Knight Returns. Please, please skip Strikes Back. If anyone tries to sell you Strikes Back, they just want your money and not your customer. Yeah, they don't want you to come back, because once you read it, you're probably going to be like, oh Lord, please never again. So, this though, they've also done an animated movie on recently, and features the first female Robin, which is going to be influencing the Superman vs. Batman movie. This graphic novel, definitely worth checking out for that, as the older Batman with the female Robin really set here for the first time. But this has also influenced a number of writers, artists, Batman material in the 2-3 decades since it came out. So Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. Now, I know I'm running a little long, but I wanted to make two honorable mentions, because while I've been talking Batman reads, there is always the question of, do you include the Bat family with, you know, the Batman main titles, Detective Batman? And I don't know the answer to that necessarily, but these are two phenomenal books featuring female characters, but that's not really why I chose them. I mean, great if you want to read for female characters. Maybe you have, you know, a young girl who's reading and you don't want to just keep handing her Batman. But the reason why I picked these actually is they're amazing reads. They might even trump out pretty much most of the other Batman titles I showed you earlier today. The first one, Batgirl Year One, Scott Beatty, Chuck Dixon, Morrison. The artwork is, well, it certainly harkens back to an earlier style. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Darwin Cook's artwork, but that's to say that Darwin Cook is in turn also channeling a certain 50s, 60s retro vibe. This is a great read for younger readers. I should just make a quick mention that this might be 16 plus. This though, you know, a 10-year-old, maybe you want to just take a look yourself, decide on the maturity of the reader. But once you hit 12 or 13 plus, this book's going to be fully fine appropriate, and is just a wonderfully illustrated, heartwarming tale about, well, Batgirl Year One, her early adventures, her Barbara Gordon becoming Batgirl, joining Batman and Robin. You see a little bit of the early Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon romance, and I can't recommend this book highly enough. A phenomenal, phenomenal read. And then, I've mentioned before, Batwoman, Elegy. This is Greg Rucka, J.H. Williams III. Greg Rucka, a phenomenal writer, famed for his crime noir works. He's also done other of female-driven or female protagonist titles that have been very successful. And J.H. Williams III, who I've raved about before, but I mean, this is a man whose artwork is beyond compare. His panel work, his layout design, every bit of this comic book is visually stunning. There are few better stories out there to enjoy. The series continued under New 52, but without Greg Rucka. And while I'm not knocking J.H. Williams III and their writing, and the series that came because I've reviewed it here and I do love it, Greg Rucka is just, you know, top 10 best writers in the industry, and maybe in the top 5, a bit subjective, but certainly the storyline in this book is beyond compare. And it's just bringing, not maybe quite the introduction of Batwoman, because she was introduced in the 52. Before the New 52, there was a series that came out each week called 52. And this, though, does introduce her family, introduce more mystery to the character, flesh out her villains, and what happens in this graphic novel then resonates forward, so that certainly by the third volume I was reading of the New 52 Batwoman series, what had occurred in here resonates and plays out. So, I hear myself saying I'm going to a little bit more, and for that I apologize. I hope that I've given you guys some great suggestions. I realize that wasn't my usual top 4 or even top 5 best Batman reads, but I mean, Batman is such a phenomenal series. I'm sure I've even forgotten some. Off the top of my head, I'm just suddenly thinking Joker by Brian Azzarello, but that's maybe not quite Batman, and for another day, as I definitely want to talk Brian Azzarello some more. So, I hope you guys had a good time. You can check me out on Twitter and on Instagram at UYS999. I hope to hear from you, and I'll be back next week with some more graphic novel reviews. Cheers!